Hello and welcome to Who We Ood, an unofficial Doctor Who watch-along podcast. I am one of your hosts, Cameron, and today I am joined by who I'm always joined by, it seems. Ben, how you doing today, Ben?
I'm good. Can't get rid of me. Gonna
No.
be co-host forever.
My God, we're gonna be doing Doctor Who season well, season this is where we get into the weeds of like, okay, how long is Disney Doctor Who gonna go for? Is it only gonna go for 2 seasons like the contracted for? Are they gonna get picked up for more seasons? Who knows?
A season 2, is that the only thing that's like confirmed?
Yep,
Confirmed?
that's the only thing that they have signed contracts for. So everyone in the fandom is going like, "Oh my god, are they gonna sign this contract for season 3?" We'll see.
If they didn't, do you think it would just be canceled or would it just go back to being just a strictly a BBC production?
Russell has said that they would still make it even if it was like $10 budget and they have to do like one room. Like they know that like as you are full aware by this point, Doctor Who can do a lot with a little budget, Ben.
Hmm. Oh, certainly.
This is the only era of the show that it's actually have gotten big budget.
What's the term, Cam, for an episode of a TV show that's like a budget saving tactic only using like existing sets? It would be like Edge of Destruction,
A bottle episode.
a bottle episode. You'd be fine if season 3 was just all bottle episodes.
Most Doctor Who fans would say bottle episodes are the best episodes because a lot of bottle episodes you could even say is like based under siege stories. And for most Doctor Who fans, like if it was Doctor Who was just based under siege stories, like The Ark in Space or like Fairy from the Deep, most Doctor Who fans would be fucking happy with that.
Yeah.
Like they don't need these big CGI spaceships and all that. Not give them like 3 characters, a room, and some rope. That would be good.
I'm surprised, and I kind of wish we had more just like completely TARDIS centric episodes at this point.
Yeah, even the new series.
Because the TARDIS is such an interesting concept
Yeah.
that I'm cool with. If, have a really introspective, just characters in the TARDIS.
Yeah, but there's a new series episode called Journey to the Center of the TARDIS, and it's not good. That episode is
Uh,
literally just like a TARDIS episode. But that's not because of the TARDIS. That's just because of it's a boring episode. Okay. But we're not going to be talking today about Journey to the Center of the TARDIS. Today we're going to be talking about Terror of the Zygons.
Indeed.
This story was broadcast August 30th, 1975 to September 20th. This is the first serial of season 13. This was, of course, supposed to be at the end of series 12, but got pushed back to 13.
Hmm.
Pretty big first time we see the Zygons. And also, it is the last time we see the Brigadier for a good long while, almost a decade.
Hmm.
Well, I should say almost a decade. It's like a half a decade of not having the Brigadier. A little bit more than half a decade.
And that's it for Harry, too, except for a cameo in a couple episodes.
My God, your obsession with Titus Wiki, Ben.
I know, it's terrible.
You're gonna get spoiled. Like I always told him audience that like once he gets to the new series, he has to be really good because that's gonna spoil whole plot lines. If he looks into one thing, it's gonna be like, oh, I already know what Trenzalore is. It's like, oh, but you're not supposed to know what Trenzalore is, Ben.
I know of it because I have a book. That is one I have intentionally not looked up.
Yeah.
I know of the concept of the timeless child, but I've intentionally not looked into it any further. Or I know that it exists. I don't really even really know the concept.
We're gonna have to talk about it in a couple episodes. A big thing happens in a couple episodes from now, Ben. Just wait.
I know, Brandon Morbius. I already
Very
know.
integral. My God, it's an obsession, people.
It's bad.
Okay, this episode's directed by Douglas Camfield, who is one of the goats of classic Doctor Who. Directed before this Inferno and the Web Affair, and goes on to do the Seeds of Doom. Highly regarded as being up there with David Maloney of being one of the greatest Doctor Who directors of the classic era. Written by Robert Banks Stewart, who also did the Seeds of Doom this season.
And he's also one of a past incarnation of the Doctor. One of the faces in Morbius.
We're gonna get into that.
TARDIS.wiki.
My God. Thanks a lot. Now we have the Timeless Child because of you fucks in 1975. You didn't know what you were causing. Okay, Ben. What did you think of Terror of the Zygons?
It's good, pretty good even. The Zygons are interesting. It's nice to have kind of one more last hurrah for unit, one for the road with good old the Brig and Benton. No Mike Gates, I don't really care though.
That dirty traitor.
Yeah, one last one is nice. Though I think it is definitely good that we're gonna move forward beyond it.
I agree. I think like my overall thoughts of it is pretty similar to you. I think the story is pretty good. It's not one of my favorite stories. I think I like it a little bit less than like the fan consensus of this story. I think a lot of people love this story. I don't love it. I think it's very solid. Like it doesn't do a lot wrong, but I think at the end of the day, there is something there that's kind of missing for me of just making this go from a good or very good story to like one of the greats.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't do much wrong, but it's feels like it's missing that secret spice to really elevate it into something great.
And it's not like it's badly directed. Douglas Camfield gives it a lot of great camera work and the really keeps up a great pacing for this story. You're not bored at all through the four pots. Originally, this was supposed to be a six-potter, but Robert Holmes said this was not a good idea,
I think that was a wise decision.
and he rewrote it to be four pots. And you definitely can feel that this is very well paced. I could imagine this as a six-potter would have been atrocious.
Probably.
There's not enough ideas in there. Maybe if like I could imagine a five-potter where we really get more into the Thames and the London stuff and the change of location. And the version we have kind of now is just like, all right, it's just a tacked on 5 to 10 minutes of just like, oh, we're in London now. Oh, we saved the day. All right, goodbye. You could imagine like really drawing that out and having a suspense sequence there that's like the doctor has to make his way through London and have to deal with all that stuff.
Yeah.
That could have been cool.
Sneak around in the delegate convention.
But also you could imagine, oh my god, the money. They couldn't afford that back in these days, Ben.
Yeah,
But yeah, like the strongest thing, of course, about the story is the Zygons themselves.
by far.
The design of them is one of those designs where you go, yeah, there's a reason why this era of Doctor Who holds up so well. And well, there's many factors, but one of the factors being that the designs of the monsters, they don't look cheap. They look very much like thought and care was put into these designs, and they're just kind of at a peak of being able to do very creative, convincing looking aliens on a very low budget.
Absolutely. They ain't no sensorite.
But, like, you can even see how well they age with when they brought the Zygons back to the new series. I don't know how much you've seen the pictures of the new series ones,
I have.
but it's like it's the same. Like, they did not do that much of a upgrade and difference. It's not like the Silurians where they did a massive redesign. These ones are just the Zygons.
Just a little bit higher quality rubber,
Yeah.
and you're good.
A little bit of a scary face instead of, like, the original designs is kinda just like a bloke. Like, it's just a guy. Like, the new series designs is a little bit more, like, menacing.
Yeah, they're good. Very iconic design. I can see why they brought him back. I don't know. It's a interesting design. For me, it doesn't quite cross the threshold to like menacing. Like they're not really scary. Maybe if I was a kid, maybe. They're more just gross than anything. Like when they're like their organic ship, they're like fondling the controls. Just weird and gross. Also doesn't help that they just kind of hobble around. They don't really have like a weapon other than the Loch Ness monster, which is cool,
No.
and we'll talk about that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Another thing I love about them is their voice. They have, like, a ice warrior-like whisper to them.
Hmm.
Much better versus the turnover, just like, "Rah, rah, 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 I am the Zygon." Just like, that would be so cringy and fake, like, having it be a little bit more of a whisper makes it a little bit more convincing and more menacing.
Yeah, be good if it wasn't a voice that they already done before though.
Yeah, I failed that. I think it still works again.
Like what what makes them different from an ice warrior practically?
Like, the Ice Warriors have a little bit of that like, this one doesn't have that.
I guess they have more of a lisp
Yeah,
and a little bit slithery kind of ness to it.
yeah, which they don't have. They're just little blokes.
They sounds like they're like really sucking in oxygen too, like through their teeth.
Yeah.
This one's just a little bit more of a whisper.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think of their ability to take on the appearance of people that they've captured?
Oh, it's a highlight. It's
Yeah,
it's something I wish the story does more with, but it kinda doesn't.
I agree completely. It's a very interesting idea. It's the thing that I think is the only thing that really sets him apart from just being another random big scary bad guy. But it's not, I mean, they do with like the imposter Harry, but it's not as much as I would have wanted. I would have wanted more like, who can I trust?
Yeah.
I could see like a new series episode really leaning into that paranoia.
Yeah, and it does. But like you would imagine that like I think that something was really missing was a unit soldier that was a Zygon and was like fucking things up for unit.
Like a spy or a saboteur.
Yeah, like when they were like, "Oh yeah, it's a bug." It's like, "Oh, but that could have been like a no, it's actually one of your soldiers is a Zygon instead of oh no, it's literally just a bug."
Yeah. I thought it was gonna be like the Brigadier was actually a Zygon the whole time or something.
Yeah, or Benton.
Or or Benton.
Oh,
Not the whole time, just the serial.
yeah, it's like my God, not my boy Benton. But no, they did not do anything with that, and just had the little Harry bit, which I think is one of the highlights of the story was when that chase of the Zygon Harry, and then when we get to especially the Bond scene
Mhm.
where he's in the bond with Sarah. That stuff is really good and very well lit.
Oh, yeah.
Like they make Harry look very scary in that moment.
I'm sure Ian Martin had fun.
Oh yeah, one of my favorite bits of the story, and part of the story where I think Douglas Camfield had a lot of fun doing.
Yeah, that was a particularly good scene.
I do wish that there was a little bit more going on with the shape shifting, especially since it's not even something that would cost them money. You would think they would do more shape shifting in Doctor Who, just because it's like, oh, they're alien, but we don't have to spend any money on the alien effect. But they're an alien, ooh.
Mhm.
But instead, it's just like, no, we have to have a man in a mask because that's what Doctor Who is at the end of the day. Let's be honest. But when it is used, it is used well, like with the maid and with the Harry Zygon, and then we have the
The, like, butler guy or whatever he is.
no, he's not Butler. He's like the head of energy at Scotland or something like that. Like he's a high ranking dude.
No, there's, like, the the Duke, and then there was the guy that was with the Duke.
Yeah,
The, like, really Scottish guy.
yeah. But like the Duke, like that's kind of cool that like having a Zygon take control of somebody with that much power
Mhm.
makes sense.
It would even be cool if it was more of like a Auton thing where like it's like a whole conspiracy placing not just three people, one of them important, two seemingly random bystanders, but like infiltrating the government. It could have been interesting like that as well. A lot of potential that isn't really utilized as much as I would have hoped.
Yeah. So Ben, did you watch the extended cut for part one, or did you watch the regular cut?
Just whatever's on BritBox.
So Ben, there is an extended cut for part one. Part one has a scene in it where the Doctor and Harry and Sarah come out of the TARDIS and they're kind of like roaming around the Scottish woods. Did you have that scene at the beginning, Ben?
It was brief where they just like they land, they would walk, they hitch a ride with the Duke. It's like 60 seconds.
That wasn't in the original version. That was edited
Oh,
on later on, and that was colored by Baber Color, who is a YouTuber that also colorized
yeah. I
the
think we've mentioned it before.
he colorized the first episode of Mind of Evil. Does great work. You can barely tell that it was colorized. It fits right in with the rest of the footage. It's
Oh,
incredible.
yeah, absolutely.
And of course, after that, we get Brig in a Kilt, which we have to mention. Like Brig in a Kilt is just one of the highlights of the story.
Isn't the Doctor wearing a kilt too?
Nah, he's just wearing his coat. He's wearing like a little hat too, a little Scottish hat.
Oh, maybe it's the hat I'm thinking of. I noticed he had a slightly different outfit.
And then Sarah is wearing his hat, and Harry is wearing his scarf.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Good old bringing a kilt.
And of course, also this story features the Prime Minister, Ben. And did you catch what they said about the Prime Minister?
No.
It's a female Prime Minister. It's a woman.
Blasphemy.
Which, but at this point, There was not a woman prime minister. Margaret Thatcher, she wasn't elected as prime minister, so there was never a woman prime minister. So it was kind of predicting the future in some ways. Because remember, this is taking place in the future,
Mhm.
unit dating and all that.
Sure, sure.
And like that is an element to the story that I want to bring up. That like I do like the scale of this story. I think that it does that very well. Like by part 4, it feels like this is like a big invasion, like world event, where a lot of the unit stories of the Third Doctor felt like this is only going to affect that county. That's like little, like it's not going to affect that much of the world. It's just like, okay, they're taking over and we're just going to be able to defeat them. It's not like this big event that the whole world has to get involved, except for maybe Claws of Axos. And I like that about this story that it goes. They have to travel all the way from Scotland to London, and like they have to deal with the prime minister. Like it feels big,
Yeah. It is a good change of pace.
and like even to like the fact that he has to blow up the spaceship, and like that scene is just like, which is actually a pretty good blow up special effect.
Mhm.
It really gives this story a big like importance that this is some shit going on right here, and they have to save the day and save the world. So Ben, we haven't talked about yet. What did you think of the Loch Ness monster?
Yes.
Did you know that the Loch Ness monster was in this? Did you get spoiled yourself on Titus Wiki about that?
I did not know that.
That's good.
The Skaracen. It was interesting. The actual look of it, I thought, was very reminiscent of like a drashing. A little bit more wet.
Oh yeah.
There were a couple like little clips where most of the time it was just like its head. But there were a couple little clips where you could see its body and it almost looked like it was like stop motion moving like the
Yeah,
body parts.
I think so too, which is of course would be a lot of money for them back in
Oh,
the day.
absolutely. Yeah, it was a good effect as a interesting element beyond the Zygons. I kind of wish the Zygons had something more, some kind of weaponry that wasn't just the one monster. That I feel like realistically, like one nuke and the world is saved.
Yeah, but like I think they do explain that like no, a nuke can't do anything to this bad boy. Like it's a good. Yeah, it's fine. He's a big boy. He can take care of himself then.
Yeah. And now he's just going to be hanging out in the Loch Ness for the foreseeable future.
I think it's like it's a great use of what Doctor Who does very well of just having that ordinariness slash like that British culture into the show. Of course, this is not British culture, this is Scottish culture, but incorporating that into Doctor Who is lovely. And you can imagine kids would have loved it back in the day that the Loch Ness Monster was on Doctor Who and that they would have been talking about it at the playground. That, like, oh my God, the Loch Ness Monster is real and it was in Doctor Who last night.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it has that same thing of the Drashigs that it's kind of cute looking.
Hmm.
It's not really that menacing.
No, just a little puppet.
Yeah. I think actually Douglas Camfield did a really good job in terms of directing like that chase scene, I think in part 2, where the Doctor is getting
Yeah.
chased by it. That of course would be really hard to direct, but he does a really well job of incorporating the puppetry and that, I think like you said, a little bit of stop motion in there with actually the live performance of Tom.
How about let's talk about Harry. This is basically it for Harry. How do we feel about Harry? His time as a companion.
I like Harry. Harry is good. Not the greatest companion in the world, of course, but I think he has a good dynamic with Sarah and the Fourth Doctor. I think like that era of the course of the show, it has a lot more success than misses.
Hmm.
So I think that team does really well together, and I'm very much have nostalgia to that trio because of Robot and Ock in Space and Genesis the Daleks. Those stories being the stories that I would rewatch and love. The three of them are in my head like a good pairing, and I do respect Harry.
Yeah, Harry is good. I was very skeptical at first, but I came around to him. He's a good guy. He is just a guy, but he's a good guy.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, you kind of do realize that, like, okay, there's a reason why they were like, yeah, let's have him leave by the end of the season. We don't really need more Harry.
We don't need him, but is it actively better? minus Harry, just the Doctor and Sarah? Is that a better dynamic than Dr. Sarah Harry?
Yeah, because like there is like as you already can tell, there is a dynamic between Tom and Elizabeth that you can't beat, dude.
Mhm.
Like they have such great chemistry together, and having Harry being there,
Just a third wheel.
he's a third rail, and it's also kind of eating into the screen time of the two of them. So now, like from now to Hand of Fair, you just get that more screen time with the two of them interacting together, having that chemistry, and just being great.
I feel like Harry doesn't really have much screen time of his own. He's always with one or the other. There isn't just like a Harry scene.
I raised you in Sontaran Experiment. There's a bit of just Harry.
Oh, I guess that's true. A little bit. I think he was on. I can't think of the name of the planet at this point, but on the Revenge of the Cybermen planet.
Voga.
Yeah, I think he was on Voga by himself for a short little stint, but most of the time he's just Sarah's doing her own thing or the doctor's doing his own thing and he's with the other one.
Yeah, but definitely in some ways he will be missed, but in other ways not so much. It's a shame that we never got more Harry. It would have been nice if we got like a little pop in here and there of just like, all right, we're gonna pop back more to unit like once in a while, and it's like, oh, okay, we're gonna see Harry and see what he's up to. It'd been like it would have been cool to see him in like the Five Doctors. If of like, oh yeah, we're gonna see the Brigadier and we're gonna be able to see Harry with them. But of course, he dies, so we don't get to see something like that.
Very unfortunate.
And it kind of sucks also that with this story, we don't get a lot of him because he is sick for a lot of part one and two. And then he is taken away. And then we get the Zygon variant of Harry. And then just kind of the rest of the story of Harry isn't that big of an importance to the story. He's just kind of there in the background.
Yeah,
He doesn't get a big last hurrah.
yeah, he gets to see Sarah and the doctor off, and that's that. Brigadier 2. All he had to do was go through those doors, and we would have had another 2 seasons of Harry. Romana and Harry.
Adric and Harry. Harry just stays the whole show. So it's still Harry and like Ruby Sunday. They just can't shake him.
Always just being a third wheel.
Always just in the background.
Imagine Harry fighting in the Time War, right alongside the War Doctor.
Like those Daleks, dude, wouldn't stand a chance against Harry Sullivan.
Hmm. Oh, well. Anything else we should talk about?
I'm done. Like, I feel like we should have more, but like we said, like it's a good story.
Yeah.
It's just like these good stories are so hard to talk about because it's those bad stories. We can be like, okay, this is bad, this is bad,
Yeah.
this is bad. We can those really good stories. We can say we can rattle off for so much stuff that we love about it, right?
But just the ones that are good are makes it more difficult.
It's just like, okay, yep. There's not even like we can't even talk about like what we would do to improve this. It's like it's just pretty good. Like there's not anything like much. Like we mentioned, of course, a little maybe some more to do with the shape shifting.
Hmm.
That could have been interesting. Maybe a little bit more in London, but like at the end of the day, the 4 parts that we got were solid, and there's not much more that I would change about it. It is Doctor Who that I could put on any day and be like, nope, this is comfort food Doctor Who episode.
Yeah. Not the best of the best, but just very solid.
Not offensive.
Hmm.
So Ben, do you got cliffhangers for me?
Yes. First one is Sarah's on the phone talking to the doctor, saying Harry's doing all right, and the Zygon attacks her.
I just have a Zygon.
Mm-hmm. Two is the doctor is chased, falls on the ground, and is about to be attacked by the Skaracen, the Loch Ness monster.
Doctor, you're gonna get eaten.
And then the third and final one is the doctor is captured, and the Zygon ship takes flight out of the Loch Ness and flies away.
Oh my god, that special effect isn't that bad for the spaceship. I'm so shocked.
No, it's a unique ship design too.
Yeah. Unique is a good word because it's not like very memorable. I couldn't
Yeah.
draw it for you right now, but it's like you watch it and you go like, I've never seen anything like that before.
It's not a rocket ship or
No.
a flying saucer. It's something different.
Yeah. Good on the BBC special effects team.
What would you rate it then, Cam? I'm kind of leaning towards.
Nope, nope. Well, we have to stick with tradition. I've always given my ranking first.
You
We stick
have?
I have, I think, every episode. So I think the big question is I have Robot, right? Robot's an 8.1. Is this better than Robot?
I don't think so.
I don't it's hard for me because I think they're both very similar in like terms of like, okay, it's a fourth Doctor unit story, of course. So they're both very much like I put them in the same camp. I think that Zygons is a little bit more better overall of a story than Robot. It's more interesting. But Robot has that great performance from Tom. That Tom is just absolutely like giving a show and really showing like, no, I am Doctor Who. I think I'm just gonna give it a solid 8.
Yeah. I'm gonna go 1 point lower than my robot ranking as well, so 7.9. Like it's very good. Robot I like just a little bit more.
So, in terms of the polls, of course, Doctor Magazine puts out a poll every couple of years to see where the rankings are for these stories. Terror of the Zygons was voted. You do this, Ben. Take us away.
Oh, wow. That is very high. Most recently, it was ranked 7th, and that's about where it has been. 2014, it was 6. 2009, it was also 7. 98, it was all the way down at 11. So we got a big bump in those 10 years. Maybe that's like when the DVD came out. But yeah, very high. I'm surprised it's top 10.
I'm thinking part of it is that the Zygons came back to the show. So, like what we talked about in the couple episodes, is that people that are new series watchers only might watch the classic shows for those big episodes, but like, oh, I need to watch the Zygon episode because I know the Zygons, and I need to know the first episode with the Zygons. And then maybe they would rate them an 8, where maybe somebody else would rate them like would maybe back in 1998 would have rated it maybe a little bit lower, or maybe they're ranking a little bit higher. That's my guess. But like I said previously, I think I'm a little bit more down on the story than a lot of the fans do consider this to be one of the great Tom Baker episodes, where I think it's just a solid Tom Baker episode.
Zygon Invasion was 2015, though.
The Day of the Daleks was 2013, though. I mean, not sorry, the Day of the Doctor.
Still, that doesn't account for the jump between 98 and 2009.
I know it's weird, very weird.
DVD was in 2011.
Sorry, people. This is Terror of the Zygons is not as good as Ark in Space, as Deadly Assassin, as Brain of Morbius. My God,
Uh, I know what it is. Do you know what came out in 2008?
what came out in 2008? But
Zygon, When Being You Just Isn't Enough by
oh God.
BBV Productions. I think that's what caused everybody to go back and realize
My God, Ben. How much do you know about that?
that it is a BBV production with the Zygons.
The less you know, the better, Ben. The less you know, the better.
Released in 2008. I will eagerly anticipate it. Is that gonna do it then, Cam?
I think that's it for today's episode. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, to like and subscribe. Please listen to us on all the podcast platforms that are available out there. And also, please make sure to like all of our shorts over on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. I hope you enjoy them.
Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Peace out, everyone.